Okay, hi everyone. I hope we're all in the right breakout room now. Thank you all for coming today. I know the past month has been really stressful for everyone, but we wanted to make this event so that those of you who are seniors and even juniors or sophomores in high school get a glimpse at the exciting future that you guys are going to have when all of this is over, hopefully with us at TCNJ. So, throughout this whole thing, if you have any questions about how to use Zoom or any of the presentations, you can go on the chat and any of the TCNJ representatives can answer you at any time. There will be a Q&A at the end, like Dr. Who said before. So if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat and we'll come to them at the end. So yeah, the first panel we'll be going over today is mine about community engagement. So this is about a project that I did last spring through a class called Community and Civic Engagement for Health and Development. It was based on a documentary called Unnatural Causes that focuses on health equity. So if you've never heard of community engagement before, this quote really sums it up well. It says, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. So it's basically all about the idea that those who are being affected by decisions being made should get a real say in how they are being made and what's actually going to go into the community. So basically, the purpose of our event Unnatural Causes was to discuss health equity, bring communities together. We brought various TCNJ communities together, whether it be various clubs, various classes. And then we brought community in from Trenton, Lawrenceville, representatives from local nonprofits. And we wanted to provide a forum for people to tell their stories so that people could learn from one another and they had a safe space to discuss things involving health equity. And also, health equity is basically just the idea that everyone has an innate human right to have a fair shot at being healthy. And we also wanted to highlight worthy nonprofits in the area that do very good work, but they may be a startup, or we just wanted to help them get their word out about them. And the topics we specifically discussed stemmed from stress, and we focused on the premature birth rates in African American women, and then also the stress and mental health surrounding job loss, because we wanted to pick topics that stemmed from something we all experience, so that even if we haven't experienced those particular things, we could kind of feel the empathy and put ourselves in their shoes. So how we planned this event, it was actually a very unique experience we had, because while it started in the class for community and civic engagement, we collaborated with interpersonal and health communication class and the new media and health class. While we understood how to actually put the event together, we realized that we needed help understanding how to breach these topics, which we were taught from the students in interpersonal health communication. And then we also needed help marketing the event. So we went to the new media and health team to learn social media strategies. There was a lot of additional meetings outside of class time, just because, as you'll see from a lot of the presentations today, communication courses, while very exciting, can also be demanding in a good way, and you can make the most out of them that you want to. We worked with the school administration to get rooms reserved, the equipment we needed, and then we learned how to contact many nonprofit partners and form relationships with them. So the community partners we had were Sustainable Jersey, which works to secure environmental equity for towns in New Jersey, and it gives them standards to reach for them to get this certification. A Better Way helps veterans, people re-entering society from incarceration, at-risk youth and their families find a better way to interact with their community and have a better life. And that means a lot of community engagement for them, planning community events. And then Trenton Health Team works specifically for health equity and better health services for the Trenton community. Sorry. So these are just a few pictures from the events. You can get an idea. This is in the library auditorium. And these are all the different TCNJ students that helped make the event possible. And then these are community members that came and shared their own stories. Around 60 people came to the event. 50% were TCNJ students, 40% were from the surrounding communities, and then 10% were faculty and students. So that was a really good turnout that we were proud of. The community feedback was strong. They learned a lot about they said they learned a lot about helpful organizations. A lot of them weren't aware of these nonprofits in their own communities. They said there was a lot of mutual learning. TCNJ students got to hear from surrounding areas, and they may not have realized of certain things that people just outside the TCNJ campus go through. There was a lot of exchanging of contact information, whether it be TCNJ students wanting to work or intern at the nonprofits, community members sharing information with TCNJ to be invited to more events. Everyone said they felt very comfortable, and a lot of TCNJ students felt their eyes were opened to important topics. So my takeaways from this class and the specific event were the surrounding communities really add a lot to the TCNJ experience. I know that when I was applying to TCNJ, it never occurred to me that Trenton, Lawrenceville, Ewing would add to your education. It never occurred to me that we would really interact a lot with the outside community, but this is just one of the many examples of how TCNJ really tries to utilize the surrounding areas for our experience in the communications department. I got to see communication theories actually take place in the real world, which was very interesting to not just see it in a book, but actually see how they form in real life. I learned that collaboration is the key to success, that the communications department really relies on one another, and all the different specialties you heard within our department are constantly working together to make sure anything that we create within the department is well-rounded. It helped me realize that I wanted to go down the political communication path, and it helped me discover my strengths as planning events, leadership, and things like that. So now we will go hear from our next panel, which is about public relations for social change, creating a strategic plan for women's space by Radhika and Miranda. So if you just want to share your screen.
I think Radhika is going to share her screen.
Let me just do that.
Hi, everyone. Can you see our screen? Good. Okay. So thanks, everyone, for coming today. Thank you, Carly, for kicking it off for us. Radhika and I will be presenting today on our Public Relations for Social Change plan, creating a strategic plan for women's space. This is currently an ongoing project that we're really excited to share with you all.
So we kind of touched on this at the beginning of the session, but we kind of just wanted to go over the course that we're taking and kind of what our objective and goals were going into this project. So the class we're taking is called Communications 371, Strategies of Public Relations, and we study public relations cases and create a communications campaign for real-world clients. So we engage in audience analysis, message development, budget preparation, media kit creation, and we develop a strategic plan for corporate, nonprofit associations, and or government clients. So everybody in our class chose a different local business or nonprofit or charity, something like that, that they wanted to really get the word out about.
So the first step before we could even choose a client was we created a TCNJ public relations firm. Our group has 5 members and we're called Sunday Morning PR. Unfortunately, our other 3 members couldn't be here with us today, but my name is Miranda Crowley. I am a Comm Studies major with a minor in the Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies track, and I specialize in public and mass communications. And Bhavika will take it from here.
So Mackenzie and Juliana also couldn't make it, but Mackenzie is a Comm Studies major and a marketing minor, and Juliana is a Communication Studies major and a management minor. And I'm a Communications and Public Health double major, and I have a minor in Law, Politics, and Philosophy. And my specialization within the Communications department is Public and Mass Communication. So the client that we chose to work with is WomanSpace. They're a leading nonprofit agency in Mercer County that provide counseling and legal support services to survivors of domestic and sexual violence. As we've talked about a couple times in this session, it was really important for us to find an organization that we really cared about and that really spoke to the different members of our group. So when we first talked to WomanSpace, the problem that they had is that they had trouble building a lasting legacy on TCNJ's campus because TCNJ has some resources that are similar to those offered by WomanSpace, with anti-violence initiatives and other campus organizations. WomanSpace was unable to reach beyond the niche social justice organizations that are already on campus. So programs like Bonner and Will are really, really important, and a lot of the engagement that WomanSpace got on campus was with those organizations. But it was important for them to get their message out beyond those organizations. WomanSpace was also unable to maintain their contacts on campus beyond graduation, so they would have certain students who volunteered with them for maybe a year or 2, but beyond that, it was hard for them to maintain contacts.
So after we kind of separated our research into about 3 phases. The first phase was what Radhika just mentioned. We had a face-to-face interview with WomanSpace's volunteer coordinator, Susan Adams, who kind of identified the problems that Radhika just delineated in the past slide. And then our second phase after identifying that problem was to conduct a face-to-face interview with the directors of TCNJ's Office of Anti-Violence Initiatives, Michelle Lambing and Zach Gall. AVI on campus is responsible for providing many of the resources that WomanSpace provides to the Mercer County community, but to our community here at TCNJ. So we kind of identified them as competition initially to WomanSpace in WomanSpace's mission to create a lasting legacy. But from that interview with AVI, we actually identified AVI as a natural on-campus partner to WomanSpace's off-campus resources. And in phase 3, we conducted a digital focus group via text message with the TCNJ community advisors, or CAs, on our campus. So a lot of other campuses call their CAs, I think, RAs, residential advisors. It's the person who lives with you in your dorm room. Basically, we found from that first interview with Susan Adams from WomanSpace that we thought partnering with residential education would be a great way to educate CAs on sexual violence and domestic violence resources for their residents that live with them. And by establishing that connection between WomanSpace and the CAs, we are able to extend the same relationship between WomanSpace and the residents that CAs promote these resources to. And it's a great way to reach out to students from all sectors of campus and not just within those niche social justice organizations, because CAs live in every single building.
So what came out of these interviews and focus groups are a strategic communication plan. So as Miranda mentioned, kind of the foundation of our plan was to create these strategic partnerships with different organizations on campus. The Office of Anti-Violence Initiatives, which is called AVI, does a lot of the work, as Miranda said, with survivors of domestic and sexual violence, but a lot of their work is focused on counseling, whereas WomanSpace offers more broad resources that are also very helpful and kind of are an addition to what AVI does on campus. We proposed a community collaboration which integrates WomanSpace into the community and makes it part of the culture. And we also proposed street team integration. So AVI has peer-to-peer educators who are called the street team. So we wanted to make sure that in their peer-to-peer education, Women's Space was really integrated, and the resources that Women's Space offers was kind of spread to the rest of the community, the campus community. We also wanted to reach out to the Residential Housing Association, because as we mentioned before, community advisors play a really big part in peer-to-peer education, and in instances of domestic and sexual violence, they're often like the people who are kind of on the ground helping and connecting residents with different resources. It was really important for us to have these partnerships because both of these organizations are already really well trusted and established organizations on campus. So Women's Space is kind of an extension of what they already do.
So we wanted to wrap up our presentation by talking about the ongoing portion of our project, which really lies in the community impact of our PR plan. So both Women's Space and AVI work to eradicate gender and power-based personal violence, and our firm is working to bridge the two entities, creating a lasting, effective, and revolutionary community partnership in which Women's Space and AVI work together to promote emergency response services, support resources, and prevention behavior education on campus. And that's kind of the partnership that we just outlined in the last slide, but we're also currently in the research phase of expanding this partnership. Ideally, we would like to develop a supplementary strategic communication plan in which we pitch a much more permanent relationship between Women's Space and AVI. Together, with the help of our professor, our group has been discussing the possibility of creating an education pipeline for survivors in Mercer County. This plan would propose that clients of Women's Space whose education was disrupted as a result of the trauma they experienced, that they would be admitted to TCNJ through a scholarship fund. And AVI would be responsible for overseeing the health and wellness of these students while on TCNJ's campus. But the research required for a policy and communication pitch of this nature is still ongoing, but we really wanted to share it with you. And that's about it for our presentation. And if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, but we'd really like to hand it over to the next panel.
So next up, we have the Media Convergence in our Lives panel by Daniel and Chris.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hope everyone's happy and healthy right now. Me and Dan are in a class called COM 172, which is Intro to Mass Communication. And in this class, we mainly talk about media convergence in our lives. And if, for those who don't know, media convergence, we can say in like layman's terms, it's basically how media transforms throughout time, how it evolves and adapts to our modern world. So for instance, you can say, like I mentioned later on, you can get a lot of your news right now from like social media platforms, whereas originally we got a lot of our news from newspapers. But Dan, next slide. So in this class, we have two assignments. The first one is a blog assignment where you have to write 5 blogs about some sort of media literacy in our converged world. Here's my blog. I titled it Everyone's a Journalist, and this is, for those who don't know, Canvas, and we write our blogs in the discussions tab on Canvas. And here's my first one I show. And so what do I discuss in my blogs? So as I mentioned previously, I basically discussed how news has evolved in our modern world. I dove into news coverage and how does breaking news happen today? In the past, news was mainly broke and shared through newspapers, and the question I asked myself was, is this still found the same today? In each blog, I talk about how I, along with many others, find out about news through social media platforms, whether that's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever it is. As the title suggests, I talk about how everyone can now be a journalist through these social media platforms. No longer is news just shared through the mainstream media. Anyone can really be their own pseudo-journalist right now. There's a lot of organizations that have grown through the social media platforms. You have people like Philip DeFranco, let's say, who's just a small person starting his home, and now he has a huge news organization through YouTube. So mainly, I'm not going to bore you with a lot of the details that I wrote in my blogs. I'm just going to talk about what the main takeaways are that I discovered. So what does this mean for the future of traditional media? It doesn't seem very good, and it's for a couple reasons. Mainly what it is the younger generation has mainly got their news from social media. They don't prefer to read traditional news. They don't even watch traditional news outlets on TV. Most people read their news from social media, whether it's from Instagram or Twitter, wherever it is. They prefer it because it's a much shorter and quicker way. Rather than watching the whole story, they can read a very short tweet and think they got the gist of the story. So this takeover hasn't happened yet, and it won't happen until accuracy issues are fixed. So first thing, the problem with social media is we can't verify whether something is true right now or whether it's been falsified. We can't have news being 100% true through this method yet. And also, it's important to note that this sort of news coverage won't take over until the younger demographic of social media is encapsulated officially is the one who's mainly watching the news. But in the end, the takeaway that I took from all of my research is that it is very possible for years in the future that we are going to find news from social media and almost entirely forget about newspapers. And as the picture states in the top right corner, this could very well be the end of the newspaper era.
Sorry, it's not letting me go to the next slide. Oh, there we go. All right, so again, my name's Dan Sullivan. I'm a communications studies major, marketing minor. And so our other main project in our Com 172 class was to present was a media convergence essay. So the assignment was basically, how is media convergence affecting a specific media industry today? So again, media convergence is just changes basically in technology and financial aspects of media, causing people to change their lifestyles and adjust to this new media. So the media industry that I focused on was YouTube and how demonetization is affecting it. So the convergence area that I focused on was economic and corporate convergence, which is basically just how industries are competing and trying to change by their changing financial aspects and both technology. So what I was trying to prove in my paper was that YouTube is facing struggles of economic and corporate convergence, resulting for many content creators to new forms of revenue. So when YouTube was first created, it was basically supported by ads and sub counts, people, creators' videos. However, in 2018, new restrictions were put on and regulations were put on to videos and how they were to be monetized. And so popular content creators like Cody Ko, Philip DeFranco, they were hit hard by demonetization and suppression. And so further in my essay, I go into the effects of demonetization, such as its broken algorithm. But overall, what I learned from this assignment was it was really one of like my favorite papers that I've written, because I was genuinely interested in the topic. And my research I really enjoyed because, again, I was interested in it. So when I was reading, I would go further and further. And so Dr. D'Angelo, who's Chris and I's professor, he really helped me improve my writing skills and citation skills as I was working on this paper. And so what I took away was advances in technology are changing how we live and how companies have to work and change their financial aspects of the company. And so overall, I plan next summer to hopefully find an internship in the new media industry, and hopefully once I graduate, a job in new media. And that's it.
Okay, next up we have Understanding the Role of the Film and Video Director, presented by Professor Johnson Frizzle and 2 of her students.
Hi.
Hi, I'm sorry. Well, thank you. All of that was so fascinating. It's great to kind of get a window into other classes and other parts of the department. Can I ask how many people here are not TCNJ enrolled students? Hi. Can you introduce yourselves? Can you introduce yourselves?
Hi, sorry, can you hear me? Is that good? My name's Hugo. I'm actually not enrolled in TCNJ, but I was accepted as a transfer student. I currently am enrolled at Salisbury University in Maryland. And
Okay.
I was studying media production and film studies at Salisbury, but I was interested in coming to TCNJ to study more corporate communication and organizational interpersonal with a minor in marketing to sort of get a more like a broad communication in modern business degree. So that's what I'm up to.
Okay, wonderful. Caitlin?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay. I'm actually transferring in as a junior from Raritan Valley Community College, and I really hope to minor in public health eventually. So, but I'm almost 100% I'm going to end up going to TCNJ.
Okay, great. Well, welcome. Nice to meet both of you. And there's one gentleman, Scott. Is there somebody else that is not a current TCNJ student? Okay,
Me.
great.
Hello. My name is McKenna. I'm also transferring from RVCC, majoring in communication, still figuring out what I want to minor in. But so far, I definitely do want to say this seminar is really helping me figure that out. And I'm like blown away by your guys' program. And I'm very excited to go to TCNJ in the fall.
Okay, great. Welcome. Really looking forward to meeting you in person, McKenna.
Thank you. You as well.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Isabel Ryan. I'm a junior and I'm interested in looking at TCNJ and their communications program.
Okay, great. Hi, Isabella. So I'm Professor Johnson Frizzell, and I'd like to introduce you to Nicole Roselli and Hannah Baker. And we're here to give everyone an understanding of what we do in the radio, television, film concentration specialization within the department. But specifically, both Hannah and Nicole are a part of the class that I'm teaching this semester called Directing for the Camera. And in that class, the students mount their own productions, and there's a lot of other things involved in that. But one of the things that I want to go back to, when which we spoke about in the beginning, is one of the things that we do in our specialization is we write, but we write with images. So very similar to what students in other specializations do, we really find the images that speak to the issues or the things that we're talking about. So I'd like to go back to this phrase that you guys have heard, and I'm sure you have. It's called "a picture is worth 1,000 words." And when we begin this class, one of the things I ask the students to do is to collect images and to study images and to look at images that they're drawn to. And in looking at the images that they're drawn to, we're deconstructing them and talking about, one, what is the image communicating? What communicating emotionally, communicating socially, communicating on any level? And we're also looking at how was the image created? What are the small decisions that were made in order to get to these images? And based on that, then students start creating their own stories, and they begin to understand the decisions they have to make in order to create the pieces that they're going to create. So I'll turn it over to Nicole and Hannah to elaborate on that.
Hi, I'm Nicole Rosilli. So as Professor Johnson Frizzell said, we are both in the directing class here at TCNJ. And like she was saying, it is really based off of utilizing different lenses, utilizing working together well with a team in order to direct and create a piece. So throughout the semester, we have been working in our teams to write scripts and then to work alongside each other in filming pieces using different lenses and camera techniques to make short silent films. So what we're gonna do today, I think Hannah is gonna take over, but we're gonna show you 2 of the short films that we created in the beginning of the semester. So they are silent, so if you don't hear any sound, don't be alarmed. They're not supposed to have sound. But I'll turn it over to Hannah now.
Okay, hi, yeah, I'm Hannah. I'm radio, TV, film major with a fine art minor. And yeah, basically we just look for, like, when you're a director, people are looking at you for direction, so you need to come prepared to the table. We learn how to be a leader and what that looks like, and how to communicate fluently to the people looking at you for direction. So you always have to have a very clear goal. So we're gonna play 2 videos. I'm gonna screen record or screen share, whatever. And then they're short and you won't hear anything. All right, how do I do this? There we go. Okay. That's it for that. So for that project, oh, cute face. We basically got, we were told to come up with a piece of music and the images as Lorna was describing before. And based off of those images and the music, you come up with your own scene. So this was actually me, Nicole, and I think 3 other group members conceptualized this, did a storyboard, broke down our shot list, and broke out into roles, and really did this in 2 hours, all of it. And that's just like, that was, I think, one of our first classes. So we were pretty proud of ourselves there. And then this is another piece, different concept, but same project. So it's another thing where it's silent, but we were given a piece of music and an idea, and based on the idea and the music, you take it from there and you come up with your own piece. Yeah, so as you can see, I'll let the credits roll, but credits are so important. Always have credits, always watch them all. Very important to give people the credits they deserve. But as you can see, we all play the role of the editor, we all play the role of the cameraman, we all play actors. You learn to be very versatile, and I think that that's a really important thing in directing, because they say like the best directors act as well, because you need to know your audience, you need to know the people you're working with, and so learning to act is actually really helpful when making your own film, because you can teach people how to go about the emotion that you want to put across or the story that you want to tell. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Nicole?
Sure. So I just wanted to say briefly, because I heard a couple people when they were introducing themselves, they said that they transferred into TCNJ. I am also a transfer student into TCNJ, and something that really drew me to this college was the RTF program. The faculty is absolutely amazing, and they're there to help you through this entire process. All of the students are so collaborative, which I really liked, because the projects that the professors create for us give us the chance, as Hannah was saying, to have all these different roles and learn all of these different things, which really prepares you when you're going out and looking for a job. I also had an internship through TCNJ, which I think really helped me, and TCNJ does really push for that, especially in this field. So that definitely also gives you an upper hand once you do graduate and you're going out into the real world. But overall, this class is really amazing. Like Hannah was saying, we all get to experience the different roles and work together and create these pieces. And, you know, even though they're silent, they still tell a message, which I think is really important, and something that we are learning in this class is how to utilize the camera in a way that we can convey a message and a story without having to use sound. So I hope you guys like them, and I hope everybody's doing well, and thanks for watching.
Are we gonna open like the whole thing up for questions, or?
Yeah, after the next panel we will.
Oh.
So thank you for that. Our final panel today will be focusing on double majors and internships experiences, and that'll be myself, Chris, Kim, and Alexis. And first, just going off what Nicole said, a lot of you did say you were transfer students, and I also transferred here, and I couldn't be more happy. I don't want you to feel like you miss out on anything. Like the communications department, right from the start, gets you hands-on experiences. The classes are small, so you'll get close with your professors just as fast as if you were here from the start. So definitely don't worry about any of that. And if you have any other questions about transferring, I'm sure like Nicole would also be willing to give you our emails at the end, and you can ask us anything about that. But to go into double majoring, so the first project I presented on today about community and civic engagement was a real turning point for me in my communication studies major, because the department does a really good job of opening it up very broad to start and letting you try a bunch of different things to see where exactly you want to go. So I came in knowing I wanted communications, but that's a very broad thing, obviously. And after that class, I realized that I wanted to be on the political side of communication. So Dr. who you met before, is my advisor. And I sat down with her, and we kind of discussed that while the communication studies department does have a few classes that focus specifically on political communication, it would be smart to maybe add a minor or a double major, since I felt confident that's where I wanted to go. And so then my spring here, my first semester here, I just filled out the paperwork, and it's super easy. You basically just fill out a paperwork, get a signature, and you're done, you're good. And it's been very easy to schedule, because your advisor, since you'll come in as a communication studies major, will be a communication studies professor, but they care about you so much and will give any time and contact anyone they need to figure out how to work your other major into it, meet all the requirements. I definitely think my communication studies courses helped me in my political science classes. Just you become such a strong writer. You present so much more in communication classes, so you get that skill to be very strong. And the department is constantly adding new courses that play into other departments. I just signed up for a new class next semester that the Communication Studies department is offering that is called Political Communication and Advocacy, and they actually worked with the Political Science department to get it as approved of that it will fulfill 2 requirements for any students that wants to take it. So it definitely helps in that sense. And yeah, so Chris can now talk about his experience.
Hi again, everyone. Freshman, my name's Chris. I'm a rising sophomore, and I'm currently in the process of becoming a double major in communications and marketing. By next spring, I'll be able to officially declare myself a double major. So basically, I just want to talk about why I decided to add a marketing major along with my communications. The first reason being communication studies in general is just a very flexible major. And it allows students to be able to delve into other topics that they want to delve into. It's not very outlandish, and it's actually very manageable to explore other disciplines with this major. Additionally, as Carly said, the department is very helpful in the planning process and even encourages students to challenge themselves and really find what they're interested in. Professors, along with my advisor, have both been by my side, helped me trying to plan, help me try to really find my own path and find what direction I'm going in. Professors like Dr. D'Angelo, who I took in my Com 172 class, has helped me and talked through things with me. And then also my advisor, being Dr. Hu, she has helped me plan and help me find where I'm going. So marketing is really going to help me with what I'm trying to get out of my educational experience. I'm trying to go into some sort of PR kind of area, and having communications in addition to marketing is basically 2 sides of the same coin. And I think having both of those disciplines is going to help me with get the skills I need for the future. And they basically, as I said, they're both sides of the same coin. One is really helping me understand how to communicate, and then the others really help me understand how to get a message out and how to get people to find your message appealing. I really do think that having a double major is going to help me in the future, and then it's really going to bolster my chances getting any job that I want in the future. That's it. Thanks, guys.
I also just want to add that definitely don't feel like you need to double major, minor, anything like that. You'll get an amazing, well-rounded education from just a communication studies program, but definitely if you can, even if it's not something specifically for your career, if you want to minor in something, I definitely encourage it because it is manageable, and this is like the last time in your life in college that you can really just like take a hold of so much information and become the most well-rounded person you can be. With that being said, we'll go to Kim, and she will talk about her internship experience.
Hello, I'm just going to real quick share my screen. Awesome. Okay. Hi, my name is Kim, and I interned last summer 2019, as the social media intern for National Geographic in Washington, D.C. So a little bit about me. That's me right there. So I'm a communication studies major, and I have 2 minors in marketing and graphic design. I've had previous on-campus internships, jobs, and campus leadership experience. And my current on-campus internship is with TCNJ, and I run all of the TCNJ social media. So if you follow our Instagram account, those posts are made by me. You should follow us at TCNJ_official. So a little bit about the internship and kind of what I did. So I was a social media intern, and basically my duties were to write copy for our social media accounts, to prepare weekly reports on our statistics and everything that was kind of happening, how our posts were doing and all of that kind of stuff. And I also help plan social initiatives. So holidays, major events, what we were going to do to track those things, and what we were planning on posting for those days. And I was also coordinating with the team on kind of how to engage the community and how to really get people interested in what we were doing, interested in our initiatives through social media. Social media, like a lot of people have said, is just another way for us to outreach and build a community online. Right now, social media is a really big deal because we all are online. And I think that today kind of really shows you how interconnected we are and the value of social media. So I'm just gonna click, there we go. Here are some examples of my work. So the account that I helped manage was the Inside Nat Geo account. This is a post that I made for National Intern Day. There I am. And I also did an Instagram story takeover that day where we highlighted the work of our interns and the intern class. Some other posts that I helped create were the posts on the top right. So National Geographic has a lot of researchers and conservationists who work and get grants or funding from National Geographic. And we were awarding a lot of the researchers and the conservationists. And I was helping to write social copy for these posts that would go up. And I was also helping to write copy for blog posts on our newsroom as well. And then the post right beneath it was a post for Parent Day, where we were shouting out some parents who, either have, brought their kids out on the field, and also kind of celebrating the work that goes into, being conservationist and being out, but also raising a family. These kind of little holidays like Parent Day are maybe holidays that not a lot of people know about, but they're really convenient for us because it gives us something to talk about and to post on social media that gets a little bit of buzz. What else do we have here? No. So that was a little bit about my internship. You can also feel free to connect with me. I don't want to take up too much time because I want to make sure that we have time for questions. So if you want to add me on LinkedIn, you can do that. My name is Kim Tang, or you can email me at my TCNJ email address. It's right there. And I'd be down to talk a little bit more in depth about the experience. But overall, I really feel like the Communication Studies department has helped me get these internships and get my on-campus experience as well, just through the sheer fact that they're super supportive and they're always looking for ways for you to kind of improve your own skills. If you talk to your advisor, if you talk to really anyone in the department, sometimes I'll talk to professors and advisors that aren't mine, just to get another perspective of things, and they'll always help you figure out kind of what direction you want to go in, either be there for you to support you or to provide you resources. And I think that has been one of the most helpful parts of being in this major, is knowing that I have people in my corner who will back me up and help support me and push me towards my goals and what I want to do. So yeah, that's me, and that was my internship.
Thanks, Kim. Now we're going to hear from Alexis and her internship.
Hi, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in today. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy at home. So I'm Alexis Blacknick, and I am a senior communication studies major here at TCNJ. I'm on the public and mass track. So I have a strong interest in PR, and I also have a minor in marketing. So this led me to accepting a part-time public relations and marketing internship at the Borgen Project. The Borgen Project, it is a nonprofit organization that has been working to address global poverty and ending world hunger since 2003. They believe that political leaders of our nation should be putting more of their time, their finances, and their efforts towards these issues. I was a public relations and marketing intern, but they do offer a wide variety of internships every semester for class credit. And these range from journalism or HR or editing, which I think are all great fits for a communication studies major. For my internship specifically, I did a wide variety of tasks such as creating a branding campaign, conducting focus groups, pitching stories, fundraising, posting on social media, and presenting my research at the end of the semester to my coworkers and my manager. So here are, let's see, there we go. Here we go. So these are a few examples of the work that I did. So the top 2 pictures are actually Facebook banners that I created for the organization and that they use at the moment. And the bottom left is my communication plan that I developed for my manager. There are 5 primary stages that we identified, which are initiating, developing, implementing, evaluating, and reflecting. And then on the bottom right is a screenshot of a survey that I created, and I gathered data from our target audience members. And I would say just overall, I had a really positive experience interning at the Borgen Project, and I really do encourage all comm studies students at TCNJ to seek hands-on internship opportunities. It's been really great for me to apply what I've learned in the classroom to real-life experiences. And at the end, I'll be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any. Thank you.
So those were all of our panels today. We hope you enjoyed them all. Now feel free to ask us any questions. If you can write them in the chat if you don't feel comfortable speaking, or you can unmute yourself and ask them. They can focus on any of the specific presentations, the communications department as a whole, or just any questions you have about TCNJ. So yeah. I know that one of the questions I had when I was going in is kind of like, where do you start on your communications journey? So everyone starts out by taking the same class, it's communication theories, and that just gives you a good understanding of kind of what communication is, because from the video we showed in the start, people do come in kind of thinking like, what even is communication studies? So that class gives you a good idea. And then from there, basically, the sky's the limit. Whatever classes you want to take, you can just really delve into it all.
I'd like to ask Nicole and Hannah how they've used their training in radio, television, film professionally, or how they intend to use it in the ways in which they want to.
Well, I currently have a job that I actually utilize a lot of what I've learned at TCNJ at. So I currently am a senior director of marketing for a recruiting firm near where I live. And what I do there is create social media ads and captions for all of our different platforms. And then I also work with our web development team in creating websites, and I create short videos. I run the podcast in terms of like recording the audio, editing it, and uploading it. We also make short promotion videos, which I shoot and edit and upload. So it's a lot of work, but I definitely learned a lot at TCNJ from taking a variety of different classes in RTF, especially video editing and just like the directing class and things like that. So definitely the classes in RTF are very useful for things you can do in the future. Like everybody else was saying who goes here, communications is such a broad field. Like you can really do anything with this major. And I think that's really important to keep in mind. So, you know, the opportunities are endless, and I think TCNJ really gives you the tools that you need to succeed in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you take so many classes in communication. Like, I didn't start as radio, TV, and film. I started as interpersonal. So you really are allowed to explore whatever track you want. Obviously, if you're going to be a double major, you have to think about your course trajectory a little more. You have to really plan that. But for me, I didn't know exactly where I wanted to be, and TCNJ gave me the opportunities to figure out what is best and where I fit in best. And when I started taking classes for film, I've always been interested in film. I just didn't know it was a career that I wanted to pursue. So now I've just been helping. I've been doing like a lot of freelance work, which means I'll just be backstage as a helping hand. And that's really helpful that I have the editing tools that I need, the camera work tools that I need, because you take all these courses and they teach you every single thing that you need to know, even if it's not a field that you want to go into. And then you learn from there. Oh, this is something I liked. This is something I didn't like. Let me try something new now.
And I think something that's important too with this track specifically, like me personally, I'm a very hands-on learner. And this track definitely offers you that experience to really use all of the equipment that we have in terms of like video cameras, and then just regular DSLR cameras if you're interested in a more photography based experience. But you have access to all editing tools and editing softwares as well. You're learning tons of different editing softwares that are used in the field. So we're using like all Avid products. We're using Adobe products as well. So you really get to learn everything that you need and could possibly use in the future.
Also, I know it can get kind of confusing when we're all mentioning the different tracks and kind of overwhelming. Don't think you have to come in, kind of what Hannah was saying, like you don't have to come in like knowing what track you want to do. You can change it throughout. A lot of the requirements overlap because we do try to give a broad view of like all the different tracks, but just again, I know we mentioned them in the start, it's radio, film, television, public mass, and interpersonal communication. So you may come in thinking you're definitely going interpersonal, and then once you take a different class, it might change, and that's completely fine, completely normal. It's kind of a learn as you go process like other people have mentioned.
Does anybody have questions in terms of transferring? Because I know a couple of people were talking about that.
TCNJ does a really good job of making transfer students go right in to the community. I'm gonna be a transfer orientation leader next year, so I'll see you guys welcome week, and we'll have some fun transfer activities for everyone.
Hi, everybody. I don't have a question. Well, not for any of our panelists, but I have a question I'd like to place on our potential students who may be joining us, who we hope are joining us. And it's not a question you have to answer right now, but I'm going to take the opportunity because I'm here, and those who've had my class are going to say, oh boy, here he goes again. But as you're starting to think about whether or not you want to come study with us, I want you to ask yourselves this question. What problem do you want to use your unique God-given talents to solve? What problem do you want to use your unique God-given talents to solve? Because with a communication degree and studying with us, you'll be able to hone your skills, and you will be able to give a voice to the voiceless. Whether you go into marketing, public relations, filmmaking, broadcast, you will be able to tell stories. You will be able to influence people to do the right thing. And Lord knows we need more people doing the right thing now more than ever before. You folks are more vital to us now as far as the hope of the future than ever before. And I would just hope that you strongly think about what problem you want to solve, because researchers need someone to share their story about promises they make in developing vaccines or treatments or things of that nature. Government entities need folks to communicate to those impacted how they can get access to resources. And those impacted are going to want to share their stories for future generations to learn how we behave during pandemics. So what problem do you want to use your skill sets to solve? And having a degree in communication will give you that ability to solve those problems.
And to also further answer Isabella's question in the chat, we have both classes that you could work with hands-on broadcasting experience with like the cameras and everything, but we also have multiple clubs like Lions TV and our radio station. I'm personally not in it, but they make many shows and have like sort of podcasty type shows on the radio station.
I guess I can jump in there and start shilling for Lions Television. I'm a member of our club, Lions Television, and it is great experience for anyone who wants to be a radio, television, film communications major. It will give you all the hands-on experience of being in front of the camera, on the cameras, in the editing room, and all that. I'm currently the sports producer there, and it has taught me so much. Even though I am not in radio, television, film major, it still helps with just in general your communication studies. And I think it's an absolute great thing that we have at TCNJ. So if you do come here, I definitely recommend you looking into all of our clubs being offered.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys.
You're welcome. We're so happy you all came here today. There's a few minutes left if you have any other questions, or if any of our student representatives just want to maybe give a quick piece of advice, and maybe just like one reason why you love the communications department, even if you're reiterating something you already said. Mine would probably be, I just love that the communications studies professors have nothing but faith in their students' abilities right from the start. Sometimes it's scary, especially in like a field like communications that's more creative. You're being more vulnerable with the things you're producing and creating. Professors are always supportive of you and kind of are cautiously optimistic, I would say, with everything you produce. They're definitely there to give you tips all the time, but they definitely let you be your own person and showcase your strengths in any way that you can. And my favorite TCNJ communication studies event has probably been this semester. We started Comm Tuesdays through the Communication Student Advisory Board, and we just try to bring together people from the department and just have an hour long, like we have some tea, some hot chocolate, and have food, and just like get to share experiences within the department, learn about the other tracks, plan overarching things for the department, like this Virtual Accepted Students Day. So yeah, if anyone else wants to share.
I was gonna say, like, I know me and Alexis talked about internships, and when you're either new coming into campus or if you're gonna be a freshman, internships might not be something you initially think about. But something I really love about the department is in your courses, the classwork that you do and the projects that you do, the writing assignments that you do are all things that you can talk about in interviews leading up to things like internships or like potential job interviews. So actually in Dr. Farben's class, his strategies of public relations class, we do like a full-fledged PR plan that we presented. And I've talked about that PR plan in interviews, and the people I always talk to talk about how like it's really in depth and it sounds and it looks like something that is professional, that someone who actually works at a PR firm would present. And I'm like, yeah, it's because like in that class, I did do a full PR plan, and that's writing experience, that's public speaking experience. So even if, you know, you feel like you don't have internship experience or work experience, your coursework from the classes that you take in the department are things that are like excellent talking points and excellent examples of your work ethic, of your writing ability, of your, you know, kind of the things that you can do, and are perfect examples of things that you can talk about in interviews to get you to, you know, an internship where you do get work experience. So like, don't sweat it if you don't have those things. Your classes are preparing you to have concrete examples for those interviews. Also, Dr. Farbman, I miss you.
I miss you too, but you're doing great, Kim.
I think something else that's important, like at least from my experience at TCNJ, I do not live on campus. I commute to TCNJ, and I live an hour away from the school, and I work. So I'm able to, you know, make that commute and make it work because I love this school so much. And I honestly wouldn't make this commute or do this for any other school. I absolutely love TCNJ and everything it has to offer. So that's just something to keep in the back of your head. If you don't want to live on campus or you are thinking about commuting, but you're like, I don't know if it's worth it, it's worth it. So just think about that too.
I like to say that we're the storytellers. And we might have different specializations and we might focus on different stories, but we are the storytellers. We'll take the information that, that other social scientists are writing about, that people are, that you're hearing in the different media, and we'll create stories around that information. So whether it's short form stories that you post on Instagram, or longer form stories, whether you're making a film about some human condition, or whether you are kind of telling a story about a corporation or creating an identity for a corporation, we understand how to shape stories. And I think that's what we train our students to do, is how to tell stories. And the stories might have different purposes. The stories might just be for, to enjoy, right? You do, when you're talking about art, you're not necessarily talking about messages. But what we do is we craft stories for different mediums and using different technology. So we're the storytellers.
So we're about to be done, but any TCNJ representative students, if you just want to put your email in the group chat really quick, if you're open to any of these students contacting you for any questions later on. Thank you so much for coming today. It really means a lot to us. We want it, even in all of the craziness going on right now, I wanted to make sure you guys got the Accepted Students Day or the glimpse of an open house that you guys deserve. We hope to see you guys on campus next year, maybe in some of our classes. So yeah, unless anyone else has anything to say, you can feel free. We've taken up your time. Yeah.
It was nice meeting everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely look forward to seeing you next year. And hopefully you choose TCNJ. But if you don't, have an amazing freshman year. And if you do, you're going to have a spectacular freshman year.